What do you get when you cross Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel with Harry Potter? A really kick-ass beginning. Let's talk some Dresden Files. Have you ever been approached by a grim-looking man carrying a naked sword with a blade about 10 miles long in his hand in the middle of the night beneath the stars on the shores of Lake Michigan? If you have, seek professional help. If you have not, then believe you me, it can scare the bejesus out of you. I didn't want to believe that killing was deep inside of me. I didn't want to think about the part of me that took a dark joy in gathering all the power I could use and using it as I saw fit, everything else be damned. There was power to be had in hatred too, in anger and in lust, in selfishness and in pride. And I knew there was some dark corner in me that would enjoy using magic for killing, and then long for more. There was black magic, and it was easy to use, easy and fun, like Legos. Hey, what's up, bookworms and Dresden fans? Is that a good nickname? I'm going to stick with Dresden fans. We are here today to talk about the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, and more specifically, Stormfront and Full Moon. I don't have the actual first books on any hard copies, so I have to stick with my old digital Kindle reader at this point. And that's fine by me. You know what? It works the same. I have talked about this series recently in a why I decided to read the series. So if you want like a little backstory about why I decided to finally dive into this 15-book series this late, I put that video up here and you can check it out if you want to. But if you just want to get right into it, this is a review for the first two books. And I'm doing both of them at once because they're really short. And I don't really think that I could talk for too long about each one. I guess we'll go ahead and start off with Stormfront here. Everybody told me that, Stormfront's just okay. And Full Moon's actually kind of bad. But just kind of power through it. And, because the rest of the series is really worth it. In fact, it's one of the rare series where it gets better as it goes along. Okay, that's cool. I loved Stormfront. I finished it in about 2 days, and that's even with the kids here. It's kind of just reading every chance that I got, and I was fully engaged the whole time. Was it like, Shakespeare? No, I'm not reading these for that. I'm reading these just to have a good time. And like I said in that other video, as a palate cleanser between these Wheel of Time books. And it really served that purpose well because from the first chapter, man, I was in. I was all in. And it was something that I didn't think I'd be that crazy about at first. Because it had always been sold to me as just, that's Harry Potter for adults. And I'm thinking, okay, well, how many things just kind of tried to ape Harry Potter after Harry Potter blew up? And I was like, I just didn't really need something else like that. But like people that I knew and really respected their opinion on fantasy and science fiction books, except to the point where I actually did think this was a science fiction series before I actually picked it up. I had no idea it was a urban fantasy, which is a genre I'm still kind of confused about. I talked about it on that Why I Should Read video. But if they had sold this to me as this is Buffy and Angel mixed with Harry Potter, it probably would have hit my TBR list much earlier than it actually did. Because if you don't know, huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, huge Angel fan. I love the X-Files. I loved Harry Potter. I love stuff like Supernatural. I like anything like this. And this is it. This is exactly that same kind of... Like, I really think that that Joss Whedon was a big fan of this series when he made Angel because it has so many similarities. But I had a great time with this book. It had like 3 different story arcs going on in it, and it found a way to tie them all together. I thought it was very, very well done. Very, very easy way to ease you into this universe without, just giving a big fat info dump at you like a lot of these new fantasy series like to do now, where they just like try to throw all this huge history and origin and backstory into the first book. And you're like, look, I just want to kind of know if I'm invested in this character first before I get going. And I think that was a really, really good idea by him. I don't know if he planned on this to be a series or not. I mean, I heard the story about how he got rejected multiple times trying to get this done. It was a rewrite of like 3 different novels. But he put out one like I believe he sold the deal to get 3 books like right off the bat. So I'm believing he at least had 3 in his plans. I don't know. I haven't read book 3 yet, so I can't really elaborate on that any further. But I feel like with book 2, he planted enough seeds about things, about some character named Elaine, about his parents, more specifically about his mother and things like that. That okay, I'm interested enough to know what's going on here. Yeah, so it set up the world in a way that I don't feel overwhelmed right off the bat, and I like that. I like that quite a bit. It talks about the Nevernever. It talks about this White Council and things like that. Things that I'm interested in learning about, but it's not throwing it at me. And again, it makes me think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It did stuff like that. It mentioned the Watchers Council for, seasons, and I think it wasn't until like season 5 until we finally actually got to see the Watchers Council. So set up that foundation and then you build off of it. I feel like he did that really, really well with this series. And I felt like, yeah, book 2, I can see what people didn't like about it. If they feel like it threw a little too much. I mean, like I said, he throws like 5 different types of werewolves at you, like right off the bat. And to some people who maybe didn't watch a Buffy or something like that, they might have actually kind of been like, it's a little too much. I'm reading Wheel of Time right now, so keeping little factions like that, that's no problem for me. So didn't really bother me so much. It did kind of feel like a Monster of the Week book, which again is fine. I'm fine if these are Dresden Files, if there's going to be like X-Files. I mean, you think about a show like the X-Files, they'd have their like 5 or 6 episode story arc. And then, it would be like, oh my God, so crazy. And then I used to complain about this when I was little, is then they'd have an episode that was actually like Monster of the Week, like they're chasing a vampire or something like that. And it didn't even mention what happened, the big events that happened the week before. And that bothered me. But as I got older, I appreciate that because it's like, yeah, you need the palate cleanser. You need something to kind of, set things back to zero and get you ready for the next big moment. So if that's what book 2 was, cool. I feel like both of these are, if each book is just an individual case, I'm not really sure. That's fine. I think about, I keep referencing Buffy because that's just what I'm going to go off of because it's a great show. All right. I think that what Buffy did so well and what Joss Whedon did so well was he would have his main story arc and then he would have 2 or 3 Monster of the Week episodes, but he'd have little moments in each episode that still kind of continued that arc forward. So you couldn't just skip them, So if that's what Butcher's going to do here, that's cool. If it's just after this, he's just going to start creating a universe, that's cool too. I'm in at this point. And if this series really does, get better as it goes along, I think I'm going to end up becoming a mega fan of this, which a lot of people have told me you would love this series, Mike. But again, they just sold it to me the wrong way. This is an edit I'm going to insert in the middle of this video because I realized I didn't talk about any characters. That's what happens when you do these videos live. Let me talk about each character real fast and what I liked about them. Obviously, Harry is a very likable character. I've heard the complaints about how he has like a chauvinistic nature. These books are written in first-person point of view, which is something I've been very critical of in the past. Yes, let me tell you a secret with guys. Just about every attractive woman we meet, we think, wow, she's really attractive. I don't think that makes him chauvinist because he finds women incredibly attractive. I think at one point he actually talks about how he's chivalrous in nature because he still believes in, paying for a meal and opening a door for a woman and stuff like that. So I don't really see where that's coming from unless it just gets like really bad later. I don't know. I feel like people, that's one of those terms that I feel like people kind of throw out a little too loosely now. Chauvinist. But as far as these first 2 books, I'm going to say that ain't it. I had no problem with anything that he did or said in this book. I actually kind of like his inner monologue quite a bit. That's something that can go very, very badly in a point of view story. I talked about my criticisms of the first Red Rising book being in first person, where every time the author tried to do a aha gotcha moment, it was like, but we're in this person's head. How are you doing a gotcha with the reader if you're in their head? I think that Broken Empire kind of struggled with that too, because anytime that Jorg had like an inner monologue, it was like, you're a psychopath. Yeah. So I feel like he balances it much more in a way, but there are times some of the stuff that he says is just almost kind of Douglas Adams in a way, where it's just you just can't help but chuckle along with them. At one point, he talks about black magic being easy and more fun, like Legos, and I was like, it's kind of like being inside the head of an 8-year-old, but in a cool way. So very likable character right off the bat, and I mean, if you don't like your protagonist, you're probably not going to like your series. But obviously, I liked him. Murphy was great. What I'd like to see Murphy do in the future is to stop trying to arrest him all the time, because that's counterproductive. Uh, I feel like that something that's really, really lazy these days. I talked about before is the strong female lead that don't earn it, and they're just they're Rey from the new Star Wars movies, where they don't make any mistakes. Murphy makes lots of mistakes, but you know what? She also kicks ass, and I like that quite a bit. Not in a demeaning nature to each other. I feel like their relationship is very, very believable, very, very fun. Their banter back and forth is fantastic. I gotta say, the kind of secret hero of these first two books for me was Bob, the little skull that talks to him. I could just imagine if they ever did like an adaptation of this, the voice for that, just the kind of voice that I kind of got in my head for it. And before you guys say it, I know I brought up Buffy a lot in this. I do know that James Marsters does the audiobooks. I've talked before about how I can't do audiobooks. It's just too much ADD, guys. It's not anything you can just get past. Attention span is perfect while I read a book, but when I'm listening to stuff, all I do is think about something else. It's just a thing. So it's nothing I can just force myself to do, like some people have suggested. But I went ahead and listened to a clip of him doing the voice for Bob, and he basically was doing Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So now that's all I hear. All I hear is Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer whenever he's talking to Bob. So the interaction is really cool. I like the way that magic is kind of explained in here. It's a very believable way, but nothing that's going to get like super physics on you or chemistry and get you so confused you don't know what's going on. So at least so far, nothing like that. Susan, she seems pretty interesting. I suppose she's supposed to be the love interest at this point. Not really sure. I like Carmichael. There's a little conversation to have there if we ever do a spoiler video. But not too many characters so far that I think are going to be a long-standing in the series. Maybe God, what's his name? Is it Marcone? Johnny Marcone? Is that Batman's name? The one in Batman? The gangster guy. Anyway, I think I'm forgetting his name. Is it Harry or is it Johnny? Anyway, yeah, I like him quite a bit as far as like maybe an overarching villain for the story. Something again. I know I keep referencing Buffy, guys. Sorry, that's all I'm imagining is this being like a spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And what I always liked about that is you had your supernatural threat, and then you had your real life threat. And I see like you got all these supernatural threats, and then you have the mafia guy that's kind of like the real life threat, and then the police force, which seem like they're going to be quite bipolar on if they want your help or not. So lots of angles to play with there. But as far as the enemies, like I said, I don't know if these are Monster of the Weeks or if they're any more come back. The alphas were okay. I like them quite okay, I guess. I guess that's really it, because without getting too far into spoilers, I don't think that the enemy from the first book is going to be seen again anytime soon. But I definitely, I can't think of his name. It was some crazy name. But what Harry does, call on a demon to get some answers. And he has to give him like one of his names, for like, because your name is power, right? And that demon that he talked about, I think that that's someone that's probably going to come back again, obviously. I don't believe that they're going to put that plot thread out there for it just to kind of go away. And I think that demon is going to be a little more connected to it. God, what's his name? Martin, the guy from the White Council with the big sword. You want to hate him, but I kind of ended up liking him. So I think it's just that Butcher's a really good writer. And he made me like all of these characters, even good or bad. He made me really like them. The dialogue is snappy, and I really, really like it. And I'm sure I've said Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1,200 times in this review, and I'm sorry. But for me, that's a compliment, because I love that series. And one of the strongest things in it is the dialogue that Joss Whedon wrote. So, guys, if you haven't watched Buffy and you love this series, you need to do yourself a favor and watch the series, especially Angel, because Angel is the more comparable to this, by the way. Okay, I'm going to end the edit now and go back to real time. I don't want to really do spoilers or anything like that. I mean, if you guys want me to talk spoilers about Dresden Files, just communicate with me. and I can do that. I feel like they're old enough books at this point that you probably could, and it feels like I'm the last person in the world who's reading these. But I've kind of tried to start going away from spoilers outside of something like Wheel of Time, where I just kind of have to decompress and talk to you guys about it. But stuff like this, if you're just looking for someone to sell it to you, yes, definitely pick up the first couple of books. I definitely think it's worth it because that's all I can tell you at this point. Everything else is just hearsay. It's what I've heard from other people about how good they get. But yes, very good palate cleansers. If you read these big, thick, fancy novels like I do, these are really good to kind of get your mind straight and just get you really set up for your next big, huge adventure. I think I could probably read all 15 of these in like a month and a half or 2 months and be on board for sure. For if this next book ever does come out, I know it's kind of starting to get in not George R.R. Martin territory, but it's starting to get to at least he has a valid reason. I don't know a ton about it, just what I've heard about what his reasons are for delaying this last book. But really, I want to know is if you guys want me to talk about Dresden. I talked about this in my Why I Decided to Read video. If you guys want me to talk about Dresden, I'll do it. I want to talk more about some of the series that you guys want to hear me talk about, because I have the series that I read and I want to talk about. Like when I talk about Stephen King, I know it gets very minimal interaction on the channel, but I'm such a huge King fan, I'm going to talk about it regardless. Other series, I want to talk to you guys about the stuff, and if you guys don't want to hear me talk about it, I'm not going to make videos for them. So it's all about communication with me. So drop something in the comments. Let me know you guys want me to talk more. Hey, do you want me to talk spoilers? Anything like that. Whatever you want me to do, that's what I want to talk about, because, again, the primary goal of this channel is discussion with you guys, not anything else. I don't care about having 90,000 followers and, only 2,000 of them actually watch my videos. I want to talk to you guys. So please drop something in the comments. Let me know, what did you think of the first couple of Dresden Files books? I've only read the first two, so please no spoilers after book 1 and 2. But if you want to talk about the spoilers in book 1 or 2, please drop them below and let's get a discussion going. So we will do that there, and I will talk to you guys then.